We good to go? All right. Well, hello to everybody that may be out there watching us right now. My name is Firefighter Dan. I work here at Fire Station 45 in Overland Park. And we also call this a firehouse. And as we kind of walk through the building, we'll kind of explain some of the similarities between where we work and why we would call it a firehouse that makes it similar to your houses that you live in. So kind of about our day is we start our day at 8 o'clock in the morning. So for you kids that are in school, that'd be about the same time that you guys are getting up and going to school. And we work 24 hours. So we work the entire day, and then we would be leaving the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning when you would be getting up and going to school the next day. So again, that's kind of why we have a lot of similarities that you're going to see in our building that are very similar to your house. So if you guys want to follow me, we'll come in our front door and stuff here. So part of our job requires us documenting after we run calls. So we run calls from fires to EMS calls where we take care of people that are sick. And this is Captain Gant. So he is the officer on our truck. And you can see Captain Gant is busy working on the computers, watching some training videos and stuff right now.
Evaluate the landing surface to ensure it is as free as possible.
So we do lots of training because we try to stay up to speed, try to stay educated on all the important parts of our job. So right now, Captain Gann is watching some training videos about how to safely land helicopters if we had to use a helicopter transport in our city. So if you want to continue following me, we just have lots more offices here. So in our station, we also have an ambulance crew. So this would be the ambulance crew's office. They're not currently in the station right now. They're out and about. And then just all the other stuff you typically find in a regular office. So we just have our printers. And then we have our shift office over here. So lots more computers. And this is where all the other firefighters that are on shift would be able to complete reports after we run calls. And then we can watch some more training videos as well so we can stay educated on all the things that we need to. So to show you some of the similarities, which it's a fire station, it's a firehouse, so it might be a little bit bigger than what you have at home, but we have a big kitchen table. Because at our station, we have 6 of us that work here. There would be 4 of us on our fire truck, and there's 2 that work on the ambulance. So some of you might have big families that have 6 people. You kind of need a big kitchen table. So we have a big kitchen table. So we have lots of places for everybody to sit and eat. And then this is our kitchen area. And we have Firefighter Dan who's busy starting to cut up some vegetables and stuff so we can start doing some meal prep. So what we usually do is the 6 of us all put in a little bit of money. We'll go to the grocery store and we buy our meals for the day, and we do lunch and dinner. And we usually take turns cooking, so that way, and we always try to help out each other. We try to eat pretty healthy because we try to stay in shape so we can do our jobs, because sometimes our job can be pretty physically demanding, and we need to be able to function and do everything we need to do out there in the fire scenes. So something that's a little bit different is you can see that we have 3 refrigerators because we have 3 different shifts that work here in the same fire station. So I was kind of telling you guys out there, we start our day at 8 o'clock in the morning, would leave at 8 o'clock the next day, and another shift would come in and they would start their day and work 24 hours. So this is our fridge because we're on A shift, and then we have our B shift and our C shift. And then we also have 3 pantries to help store our food. And then we have our range, our ovens, our kitchen sinks, and everything else in here, all of our appliances. So something we have that accidentally got left out is there's a lighter that's out here. So it kind of brings us up to one of our important safety things. So for all the younger kids that are out there, this is something if you were to come across this, if you're out at a park, a playground, or maybe even at school or at home, and you saw lighters or matches that are out, that's something that we don't want you guys to play with. We would want you to go get an adult and let an adult know that you found maybe a lighter or some matches, and then they could take care of that, because lighters and matches are tools for adults. We don't want any small fires to accidentally start, because those small fires can get very big very quickly, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. So we're going to put this away so it doesn't accidentally get left out again. Other thing we want to talk about too is just a little bit of cooking safety for some of the younger kids that might be out there. We don't ever want to leave our pots and pans on top of the stove, because if there's any leftover food or anything else that could be in there, that could catch on fire. There could be grease fires and stuff. So we always want to take our pots and pans and let our parents know that we need to put those away. So we're going to take those off of the range and stuff right now. Because again, we don't want to take any chances with any possible fire starting, because those small fires can get very big very quickly. So this is our kitchen areas. You can kind of see again, we just have kind of all the normal things, our sinks, dishwashers, all of our cabinets, our coffee pots, which, you know, maybe mom and dad drink some coffee out there, all of our microwaves. So just kind of a big kitchen compared to what you might have at home. So if you follow me, come over this way. So this is what we would call our day room area or our living room. And again, we just have a lot of seats because there's 6 of us that are in here. This is an area in the evening time we can kind of sit down and rest and relax a little bit. During the day, we can watch some training videos, and we have some Zoom meetings, kind of like what we're doing right now. We can have our meetings, talk to each other. And here we have one of our smoke detectors. So I want to talk to you guys about your smoke detectors just a little bit. So smoke detectors are very important, so we can talk to your mom and dad about smoke detectors and making sure that they're working. So we want you guys to check your smoke detectors twice a year. So you probably hear about in the news and maybe in school about daylight savings time. So that happens twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. And so actually the fall daylight savings time is going to be coming up here in the next few weeks. So that's a good time to check all your smoke detectors and change the batteries in the smoke detectors so that you know that those smoke detectors are always working for you. So if you ever hear your smoke detector going off, we want you guys to know that sound and be able to find a way out. And so you should always know 2 ways out of a room. So we're going to push this button. We're going to make a little bit of noise here so you guys know what your smoke detector is going to sound like. This is how you test it too. So that's the sound your smoke detectors are going to make. And so if you hear that sound, you know there's trouble somewhere. And so we want to talk about maybe some escape plans. So knowing those 2 ways out, so doorways. We have windows here in this room as well. So we can kind of show you these windows. So a door might be blocked by fire or smoke, and you can't go out that way. So you might want to go out a window in your living room, kitchen area, or maybe even your bedroom. So knowing those 2 ways out, doesn't always have to be a door, could also be a window. So we're going to set that guy back down. Come back out this way. So one of the differences between our fire station and your guys' house is this is kind of our alarm desk area. So we have some of our different computer screens so we can look up some calls that are happening. We have some radios that are here so we can hear the dispatch center. So we have our dispatch center that receives those calls. They determine what type of call it is, if it's like a fire call or an ambulance call. And then they figure out the location of that call, and they send the appropriate and the closest trucks and the ambulances. So part of another important thing that we have to do is we have to know where we're going and where that location is. So we have all of our maps and stuff here. So we have our maps of the city so we can find out where we're going. And so we have the driver on our trucks, and so he's responsible for knowing that area, and he can come here and he can look at the maps and figure out the best route and the quickest route to get to wherever that emergency is. So I'll kind of show you real quick. On this map right here, this red dot would be where our fire station currently is on this map. And so we have our highways that run here and all these other main roads that run through here there. So if we hear the address, we can find out where the address is, find our best routes, and we can get to wherever we need to go to take care of that emergency, whether it's a fire call, it's an emergency call for somebody that's sick or somebody that's hurt. So we're going to walk down this hallway and show you some of the other parts of our fire station here. And kind of like maybe at your house, you guys have some pictures and some paintings on the wall. We have some different pictures and stuff on our walls as well. So part of our job requires us to stay in shape and take care of our bodies. So we have our workout facility here. So as you can see, we have Firefighter Xavier, who's on the stair climber right now. So he's getting his workout in early in the day so he can stay in shape so he's ready to go and take care of anybody. We'll let Firefighter X get back to it. All right, if you follow me, we'll kind of show you where our bunk room area. So turn on a couple lights here. So we have our bathrooms, and these would be our individual rooms that we have in our houses, or kind of like what you have in your house. So this would be my bunk room area. So we have all of our individual bunk rooms or our bedrooms because, again, we work those 24-hour shifts, so we work overnight as well. And you might be able to hear the radio, the speakers overhead in the background, some other calls that are going on right now. And so if we get a call overnight, we get up, we go get our gear and stuff on, and then we go and respond to that emergency. And so kind of talking about our bedrooms here, our fire station's all on one level, but how many of you at home might live up on the second floor? Probably quite a few of you, because a lot of houses are designed with all the bedrooms upstairs. So if there's ever a fire, an emergency in your house, you may not be able to go out your bedroom door. You might have to go out your bedroom window. And that's okay, because on all of our fire trucks, we have big ladders. So if you couldn't go out your bedroom door, you could get some blankets, pillows, stuffed animals, toys, and you could throw all those toys and stuff out at your window. And then when we do our search around the house, when we get there, we're going to see all that stuff, and we have our big ladders that would be able to get out and get you out of your bedroom window if there was an emergency and you couldn't go out your bedroom door. So that's why we talk about knowing those two ways out. There's always two ways out of a room. Got your door, and then you also have your windows. So don't forget about that part of it. So now we'll get on to kind of some of the exciting stuff. So we've kind of talked a little bit about the fire station and how it's similar to your guys' house at home, and how the couple little things are a little bit different with our offices because it's also a place where we work. And now we'll show you some of the equipment that we use when we're out at work. So we'll come out into the Bay Area, we'll show you the trucks, some of our gear that we use that helps keeps us safe. So here at Fire Station 45 or Firehouse 45, we have what's called an engine truck or a pumper truck. So the thing that it's missing that some other fire trucks have is it doesn't have the big ladder on top of it. And so this truck is kind of responsible. It has a large pump and it has a tank of water of flowing lots of water to put those fires out. We also have an ambulance crew. Like I said, they're busy. They had to go out right now. And then you can see we have some different reserve apparatus. So unfortunately, sometimes trucks break down, and so we always have to have spares so that way we don't ever have to miss on an emergency. So this would be one of the backup or the reserve ambulances that we have. So that way we always have a truck that could be put in service and ready to go. So I can show you in here real quick. So this would just be our gear locker. So this is just where we keep all of our personal safety gear. So when we start our day, we can come in here, we can get our safety gear, get it out by the truck because we don't want to have to stop and delay. We keep all of our gear by the truck so we can put it on quickly so we can respond to those emergencies. And we'll show you our gear a little bit closer detail here in just a moment. So we can kind of walk around the truck and I'll show you some of the different features of this truck. So in the fire department, we always work together as a team. So you saw Captain Gant who was there in the office and he was busy working. So I'll show you where Captain Gant would ride. So you can see he has his gear set up here on the truck. And if we were to get a fire call, we could put all of our gear on we would get on the truck and then we could respond to that emergency. And so part of Captain Gant, the officer's job, is he has this computer screen which has all the maps on it as well. So he can see the call that we're going to, get some information about that call, pull up some of the maps. So I can do that for you real quick. So you can see we have all those maps, kind of like those paper maps we had on the wall. We have all those maps there as well to find the best route and the quickest route to get to those emergencies. And you might be able to see some of the flashlights and radios and some of the other buttons and stuff that we have in our truck. And I'll show you where I'm riding and kind of explain what my job today is. So I would be the backwards firefighter. So this would be all my gear, and you can see how I have my boots and my pants and everything set up on the floor so I can step right into my gear, put my gear on, and get ready to go. So my seat would be right back here. So I'll move my stuff out of the way for just a second, and I'll let Jason get over here and kind of show you this part of the compartment of our truck. So we have lots more flashlights and lots more of equipment set up right now. We have our imaging cameras that can help us see through the smoke. And we can do a cool little experiment here in just a second with that imaging camera. Hopefully it works on live TV. We'll see. So this is our thermal imaging camera. So sometimes when we go into buildings that are on fire, there's lots of smoke and we can't see through all of that smoke. So what this special piece of equipment does is it senses the different temperatures and allows us to be able to see through that smoke. So I'm going to show you just the side of the truck right now. And you see how the side of the truck just shows up dark? You can't really see a whole lot on it right now. See if maybe you can see that. You got a little bit of a glare maybe. So we can see how it's just showing up dark. There's not a whole lot of temperature change just on the metal of the side of the truck. So I'm going to put my hand right here on the truck. Hold it here for just a moment. And then my body temperature, my hand, should warm up that metal just a little bit in that one spot. And you can see how now there's a white spot on the side of that truck. Hopefully you can see that. But you can see how there's this difference in temperature where my hand was, it's showing up white because it's just a little bit warmer than the rest of the metal on the side of the truck. Hopefully you guys can see that because this is a pretty cool device and it helps us out a lot. It helps us find people that may be trapped in a fire. We can see right through the smoke and we can get to them very quickly. We can get those people out. So this is it's a very cool piece of equipment, pretty handy and helps us out a whole lot. So I'm going to put this back up now and kind of show you some of the other parts of our truck. So our fire truck is kind of like a big toolbox. We carry lots of different tools to do different kinds of jobs. So for fires, we have all of our different hose lines and stuff here. So this would be our main supply line. So this would be the big hose line that would connect to a fire hydrant to get water from the fire hydrants to the truck. I told you guys that this fire truck has a tank of water, and it does. It has 750 gallons of water. So you know your milk jugs at home that are about that big, that's like 1 gallon of milk. We carry 750 of those containers on this truck. Not milk, but we carry water. That sounds like a whole lot, but out of some of these different hose lines, we can spray a couple hundred gallons of water a minute. So the tank water that we have on the truck only lasts us a couple minutes, and that's not always enough to put the fire out. So that's why we have to use this big hose line to connect to the fire hydrants to get water from the fire hydrants to our truck so we make sure we don't run out of water. So depending on the size of fire, we have different hose lines. So you can see some of these hose lines up here are just a little bit smaller. So some of these ones, they're not quite as big, so they don't flow as much water as some of these bigger hose lines. With these bigger hose lines that we have here, it just takes a lot more people because it's very heavy to move around. So I'll show you some of the other tools that we carry. So in this compartment here is we carry lots of our EMS equipment. EMS is emergency medical service, and that's when we get calls to go take care of people that may be sick or hurt. Sometimes people have trouble breathing, sometimes people fall down, they break arms or legs, and we go and we can take care of all that stuff. So we carry different medicines in here, and we carry things that are IVs, which are kind of like shots. And I know people don't like getting shots, but sometimes we need them to keep us healthy. So we can do the same thing with those IVs, and that's how we can give some of those medications to take care of people and make them better. And then you can see down here we have more hoses. So these are the hoses that we could take, because fires sometimes happen in buildings that are really tall, and the hoses that are connected to the truck don't make it that far. So buildings have special plumbing in them that we can connect our hoses to, and then we can take those hoses and we can go up in those really tall buildings, make a connection up on a floor that's really high up there, and then put fires out if they happen up on the top floor, like a 10-story building, like really tall skyscraper type buildings. Sometimes there's fires that are small and they don't need a whole lot of water, so we have some different fire extinguishers. So this is just a 2.5 gallon water fire extinguisher to put just like really small fires. So we have those there. And this is just another type of fire extinguisher. This one is actually like a powder that would suffocate the fire and put a fire out that way. And so if there was like electrical fires or some other types of like grease fires, this would be the type of extinguisher that we'd want to use on something like that. And in this compartment, we have lots of our hand tools. So you can see we have different types of axes and pry bars, because sometimes when we show up to a building, the doors or windows could be closed and shut. And if there's a fire in there, we have to be able to get in to put the fire out. And so we have axes, we could cut doors down, or we can pry doors open by using some of these tools. So just because your door might be locked, the fire department always has a way in. So in this compartment here is what we would call our extrication equipment. So that means we have special tools to take care and get people out if they were in a car wreck. Sometimes accidents happen and people get in car accidents and their cars are damaged, so they can't open up their doors. So we have special tools here that are basically like big pair of scissors that we can cut through metal with. And so we can cut the roof off of a car, we can force those doors, we can cut those doors, everything open, so we can get somebody that might be hurt in a car accident out of their car and get them up to the hospital. As you can see, we have some different types of saws and stuff here, so we can use to cut metal. And then we have chainsaws that we could use to cut wood. So we can cut holes in walls of a house or building, or a hole in the roof to let all the heat and smoke out of the roof of a house. Now I'll show you guys something here on our truck that we advertise as well. If you see this number here, it says dial 911. So hopefully everybody knows that they can call 911 for emergencies, and it's for emergencies only. So if you ever need the police department, if you ever needed an ambulance, or if you ever needed the fire department, you call 911. And for some of the younger kids that might be out there watching stuff right now, it's also a good idea to learn your address, because that's going to be one of those questions that the dispatchers are going to ask you. Is they need to know where to send all the help to you. So if you know your address, that makes it a lot easier for them. You don't always need to know your address, because we do have some locating devices from your phone lines, but it makes it a lot easier if you know your address. You can tell us exactly where to go. We can get there a lot quicker to help people. So remember, call 911 for emergencies only. If you need the police department, fire department, or an ambulance, call 911. So on the back of our truck, that's another supply line. So that's another hose line that we can connect to all of our fire hydrants. We just carry a lot of it. We carry 1,000 feet of hose line on our truck. So hopefully you remember when we were back in those bedroom areas, we were talking about knowing 2 ways out. And if your bedroom was on the 2nd floor, you may not be able to get out your bedroom window. And I told you the fire department has ladders that we can come and get you. We can get you out. So these are some of the ladders that we have on our truck that we could set up to help get somebody out. So I'll pull this ladder out a little bit. So you can see this is a big ladder that will reach all the way up to the 2nd floor. So if your bedroom's on the 2nd floor, we have these ladders that we can use, and we can climb up there and help somebody get out and get to safety. I'll show you back here real quick. So in this back compartment, again, like I was telling you, a fire truck's just a big toolbox. It just has compartments everywhere and all sorts of different tools. So we just have another saw here, and we have a big fan, and we'd use our fan to help push all the smoke out of a building, because we don't want that smoke in there, because that smoke is dangerous, and we don't like to breathe any of that smoke. So we can use our fan and set that up to bring fresh air from the outside to push all the smoke out and make it safe for us to go inside and be safe for anybody else that might still be trapped in that building. And we'll put that back on the truck here in just a little bit. Show you just a few more different tools. So we have some different lights, and we have some other stabilizers. So if a car was like on its side, we have some different stabilizers to help keep that vehicle from moving around. And another fan. Lots of electrical cords and tarps, so we can keep water and stuff off of any property that we don't want to get damaged when we're spraying water out of our hose lines. So this is what we call our pump panel. And so the driver of the truck, his job is to know where the location of the call to get us there safely. And then if it's a fire call, the driver is going to be the one that's responsible for operating the truck and getting water to all the different hose lines. So the firefighters that are riding backwards like myself can spray water and put that fire out. So I want to show you guys something real quick. You can see we have some different colored hoses here. We have a red hose and a blue hose here. Sometimes it can be kind of busy and chaotic on a fire scene, and so we try to make things as simple as possible for ourselves. And so if I was to take this red hose line and take it off the truck and I want to spray water out of that red hose line, we can come and look at all these different levers and stuff here that send water to different valves and different hoses on the truck. If I want water out of that red hose, I know I can come right here and I can open up this lever and I can get water out of that red hose. And the same thing with the blue one. We have the blue hose on the side of the truck. If I want water out of the blue hose line, I can go right here and open up this lever and get water from there. Because you can see it's kind of busy and there's lots of different controls and buttons over here. And so to keep it easy and simple for us, we kind of color coded everything. All right, so I'm gonna have my partner, Firefighter Xavier, over here, and he's gonna put on some of his gear and kind of show you his gear, and I'll kind of talk to you about what he's doing and the way that our gear keeps us safe. So whenever we get a call, we wanna get dressed and out of the fire station and to that call as quick as possible. So you can see how Firefighter Xavier has his pants tucked around his boots, and you're able to see how he's able to step right into his boots And then he's gonna be able to pull his pants right up around him. So now he's gonna have his boots and his pants on. And you can see he's also putting on his hood. And we'll talk about his hood a little bit more in just a second here. But his hood's gonna cover up his ears and his neck, because our goal is, if we're going to a fire, to cover up all the parts of our skin. We don't want any of our skin exposed so it doesn't get burned. So I'm gonna show everybody his coat and stuff here real quick. So on the outer part of our coat is this very thick and heavy material. It keeps us from getting cuts and scrapes, because sometimes we're around broken glass or nails and pieces of metal that are sharp that could cut us and hurt us. And so all this outer part, this outer shell, keeps us from getting cut and scraped. On the inside part, this is what would keep us from getting burned when we go to put fires out. So this is kind of like a big heavy blanket, and keeps all the heat and stuff away from us. And on the other side, this would be the vapor barrier. It keeps some of those gases and some of that heat away from us as well. So there's 3 layers to all of our gear to help keep us safe. So this is like a big heavy winter coat that you guys might wear in the winter time when it's really cold outside. This is the gear that we have that we use any time of the year. So in the summertime, we'd have to put like a big heavy winter coat on. So it can get kind of hot, so we have to drink lots of water and try to stay hydrated in the summertime. So here's X's coat, and you can see his pants are made out of all that same material. The other safety features that we have on our gear is you can see all of these stripes, because not only do we work during the day when we can see everything without any problems, we work at nighttime. And so we have all this reflective striping and stuff on our gear so we can see each other when we have to work at night. And all of our gear together can weigh upwards of about 70 pounds. So it's a lot of gear. And then anytime we have all the hand tools with us, that's more weight, and all the hose lines that we have to bring with us is all more weight. So that's why you saw Firefighter Xavier working out, so he can stay in shape, so he can do his job to carry all those tools, to carry the hose lines and have all of his gear and carry his air pack. So he's gonna grab an air pack for us right now. And our air pack is our work backpack. So some of you that might be in school right now probably have a backpack that you bring to school with you. So this is our work backpack. So our work backpack weighs about 30 pounds though, so probably quite a bit heavier than your guys's. As you can see, ours are kind of built into our seats so we can put them on as we're going to the call. And what our work backpack, what our air pack is doing for us is all the air that we're breathing right now is compressed into that bottle that he has on his back right now. Because when we go into a building that's on fire or a house that's on fire, we don't want to breathe in any of that smoke. And so we have to take all of our own air with us. And so you can see Firefighter Xavier's putting on his face mask because he has to get all that air from his backpack, from his air pack, to his face now. So he's putting on his face piece, and then he's going to clip in his regulator, and you'll be able to hear some kind of funny noises and stuff. And so part of the reason why we do this as well is we saw Firefighter Xavier, and he was just kind of a normal guy. He looks a lot different now. And so we don't want anybody out there to be scared of us when they see us in all this gear. And as you can see, he had his hood on, and it was covering up his ears and his neck, and now his face piece is covering up his face. His boots and his pants and his jacket are covering up the rest of his body. And now he's almost ready to go in and be able to put a fire out. He's got one last thing to cover up, so we want to cover up our hands. So that's why we have our special gloves that have lots of that insulation and that tough material, same thing as our coats and our pants, to keep us safe. Keeps us from getting burned and keeps us from getting cuts. So now we have Firefighter Xavier, who's in all of his safety gear, and he'd be ready to go. And something else that Firefighter Xavier has is he has a flashlight. Because again, it can be really dark, and we work at nighttime, and smoke makes it really dark, so we want to be able to see where we're going. And I told you he's going to sound kind of funny. You can hear all that air that he's breathing in from his SCBA right here. So hopefully now that we saw Firefighter Xavier, saw him in his regular clothes, after he's working out. Now we see him in all of his safety gear. It's nothing to be scared of. So if you see a firefighter is dressed like this, we're there to help you guys. All right, we'll let Firefighter Xavier get out all his stuff because it gets kind of hot in all that gear. We'll show you around the rest of the truck here.
3501 West 95th Street, apartment 226 at
So this is the driver's seat. So this is Firefighter Xavier's job. So he's the driver of our truck today. So we have some of our switches here we can turn on, and we can show you some of our emergency lights. So anytime you see a fire truck or an ambulance or police car with all of its lights on and you hear its sirens going, that's our alerting system to let the other traffic out there know that we're on our way and we're going to an emergency, and for all that other traffic to move out of the way for us. So I'm going to turn this button on and turn on some of the lights for you guys. So we can kind of walk around the front and we can see all of those lights. Pretty cool. This is one of the most exciting parts of the job for us, and we get to run lights and sirens to an emergency call, knowing that we get to go there and we can help some people. And one of the other cool things about this particular station is we have an old antique fire truck. And so this 1941 truck was one of the fire trucks for Overland Park, the city of Overland Park, years and years ago. So now it just goes out on parades for us. It's just kind of a decorative piece.
9706 West 125th Terrace.
So this one's a pretty cool old truck. You can see the old bell on it, and it has its old siren on it. And you can see all the different hoses that this truck used to have along the side here. Not near as big or quite as fancy as the newer trucks. So we have one more truck we can show you guys. So this would be our brush truck. So it's like an off-road fire truck. So we'll show you around the back here. You can see that this truck also has a tank of water and it has a pump on it, but it doesn't hold as much water, and the hoses on it aren't near as big as what our other fire truck have. So what this truck would do is it can go off-road. It can put out like grass fires or small brush fires. So it's designed to go off-road because our big engine truck, it's too big and too heavy and you just get stuck in the dirt or in the mud. So you can see our tank of water, and it has these small hoses, and this is our pump right here. But again, on the side of this truck, it's kind of just a big toolbox like our other engine. So this one just has some different tools that are in the bed. It has some chainsaws on it. It has some hand tools inside here. It has some rope. And on this truck, we also carry some EMS equipment as well. So again, just our fire trucks are just kind of big toolboxes that we can do different kinds of jobs to take care of any kind of emergency. So anything from fires to car wrecks to people getting hurt or people that get sick, that have breathing problems, we can take care of kind of all of that stuff. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody else out there has any questions. We haven't heard of any questions yet, but I don't know if there's anything else you guys like to see. We can kind of show you around the bay and kind of one more big picture. Do you want to do the ambulance? Okay. Yeah, we can do the ambulance. So we can show you guys the ambulance too. So kind of what I was telling you is this is one of our backup ambulances, but we can walk through that as well. I'll turn some lights on so we can get a little bit better picture of it. So an ambulance is designed to take people to the hospital. So anybody that gets sick or hurt, we can take them up to the hospital. So this would be our cot that we can put somebody on to take them up to the hospital. And then we'll show you around some of these compartments here. So in some of these compartments, we carry lots of different medicine. So I don't know if Jason can make his way back here. So I kind of talked to you, mentioned about some of the IVs, kind of like those shots that we have to give people so we can give them medicine to make them better. I know they don't feel good, but it's kind of one of those things that we have to do when you go to the doctor. You have to get those shots to keep you healthy. We carry all these different medicines to do the same thing, to keep people healthy and to make them better.
Somebody asked if you go to the nearest hospital or if they have to go to certain hospitals.
Well, that's actually a very good question, and the answer is it depends. Depends on what type of emergency it is. Sometimes people get hurt, and that's what we would call trauma, and there's special hospitals that are designated trauma centers, and we would take people to those special hospitals that have special doctors and nurses to take care of those trauma patients. If somebody's really sick and it's a medical problem, like if they're having chest pain or like difficulty breathing, we can take them to the closest hospital. If it's something where somebody's sick but they're not that sick and they want to go to a specific hospital, we can take them to that. So that's kind of a long answer for it depends. So that's some of the medicines that we carry. And kind of up here, the way our ambulance is designed, so a person would sit with their head here on the bed, and if we needed to take care of somebody that's having trouble breathing, we would want to manage their airway, so we have masks that we could put on them to help them breathe. And so we keep all of our airway stuff up here so that we can be at their head and we can help manage that patient. So we have these special masks that we have, which I'll pull one of these out here. So this is what we call our bag valve mask. And so we can use this to actually help somebody breathe. And then we also have special breathing tubes. So if somebody's having trouble breathing, we could put a breathing tube in them and help them. Then we squeeze that and we can give them 100% oxygen to help them out. So that's kind of the way our ambulance is designed. So that way their head's here, we can manage all that stuff, still be sitting, since we're going to be moving down a bumpy road, and have our seatbelts on and take care of the patient. We also have our radios here. So this would be how we would talk to the hospitals. So that way we can give them a heads up and let them know that we're taking somebody to them and kind of what's going on with that patient, so they can have some special doctors and nurses and stuff ready to go to help take care of that patient. So on the ambulances, they work. Sorry, I'm making a little bit of noise there. So on the ambulances, they work in a crew of 2 paramedics. So a paramedic is somebody that goes to school for a little bit longer, and they develop and they learn special skills for starting IVs, putting in those breathing tubes, being able to look at different heart rhythms and manage those different heart rhythms. So all of our firefighters are EMTs, which is kind of basic life support, first aid type skills. And paramedics decide to go to school for a little bit longer and develop some more advanced skills, like I said, those IVs and those breathing and those airway skills. So if you call a firefighter, you're going to have somebody who knows and has a lot of medical training. Paramedics just have a little bit more advanced training. So again, those ambulances on these ambulance crews, it's 2 paramedics that'll be there. But even on the fire trucks, most of what we do is a lot of EMS, so we're always there and we're helping out those ambulance crews as well. So I'm going to put this back up here so we don't forget about it. We can look at the front of the ambulance and kind of show you that real quick, and we'll see if anybody else has any other questions. So kind of the same as the fire truck. You can see we have this computer screen. So it's the same as the one on the fire truck, so you can see the different types of calls that show up there, and it has all the maps as well on there. And you can see their radios and their control panel that controls all their sirens and all their emergency lights. And you might have been able to hear some of that radio traffic overhead again. So that's our communication center. So we hear all the calls that are going out around the Johnson County area, but there's a very special noise that goes off whenever this particular station gets a call. So we got lucky that we didn't have any calls. That way we didn't get interrupted on our station tour here today.
Contact 133.
It's kind of loud, but again, it needs to be loud. That way when we get those calls overnight, it wakes us up and we can go to the emergency. All right, well hopefully you guys learned something here today. It was fun talking to everybody, and I don't know if we have any other questions out there. We'll give you a couple minutes and see if anybody else has a question. But hopefully you guys maybe learned something, maybe a couple little safety tips, and got to see a pretty cool fire truck that we have here. All right, we'll get you one more picture of our truck and stuff here.
Tom Kerrigan says, stay safe, but thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We always do our best to stay safe. All right, bye, guys. Hopefully everybody learned something. Have a good day.